Hey, we're the Foo Fighters.
And we're toasted, man.
Oh, it's toasted. It's toasted.
Oh. We're toasting it.
There.
Let's talk about your new album, because it's going to be out somewhere in the coming month. September is now named for it. We just heard it once this morning, and
a lot to take in, isn't it?
in a Monday morning.
For any record, Sit down, listen to this once, review it.
Yeah, that's. I'm even one of the journalists that doesn't even want to review it after one time, because you can be wrong after one time. But what I made up out of it was that after one time of listening, you got everything that was good about the Foo Fighters into this album, because you go from like almost 70s orientated songs, the slower songs in the end, etc. But also like to really build up great Foo Fighters songs, which you can do live, as we saw on Live Earth, isn't it?
I think in some ways it kind of covers, like you said, all the bases of the Foo Fighters, and there is steps in new directions, and there is. I feel like we took chances musically and brought and did some really broad strokes on some songs like Come Alive.
Yeah.
Where we weren't afraid to, and Dave wasn't afraid, and he didn't hold back, which he has before, and we've done little kind of, we've hinted at things like that, like Come Alive, and songs that are sort of a big idea, a grand idea, and that's my favorite song on the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it's not because I think it's the most easy song to digest or the best pop song on the record. It's just, all the music that I loved growing up was the more sort of grander music. Not all, but a lot of it. I liked a lot of the prog rock stuff and the cornier kind of stuff, and I loved Queen, and I like those kind of songs that take you on a sort of trip.
Yeah, because they don't last for 3 minutes, but over that, and it can really take you along.
Yeah, and they start somewhere and they end up somewhere else, and there's a middle part, and it's like a real story. It's not like a quick conversation. It's like someone's telling you a whole story.
But it was always in most of the songs of Foo Fighters already, like building up to some climax in the end, which is one of the really strongest parts of you guys.
Definitely in the last couple albums, probably to a certain degree on some of it, I guess.
If you listen to new songs, you always get other bands which sound like etc. I even had the Beatles in my mind.
Oh yeah.
With one of the.
I played the record for Roger Taylor the other day, who I did something. Yeah. Well, he's like my mentor, and I played it for him, and he kept saying, Dave sounds more and more like good Paul McCartney. Yeah, he didn't say, it wasn't give my regards to Broad Street or something. No, but he said there's definitely a heavy McCartney thing going on to a certain degree, which I always thought was there. I mean, when the first Foo Fighters came out, and I wasn't even in the band, I was just a hardcore stalk you, fan. I always thought it was sort of Beatle-y, but really anything that's sort of like has good pop musical changes that mixed with rock and roll is always going to be pretty much the Beatles.
So much.
I mean, they kind of covered everything.
No,
they covered everything from sweet pop to beautiful ballads to acid sort of rock, heavy metal. Even with Helter Skelter. I mean, they kind of
Started it all out.
Well, they kind of wrote the Bible,
And whatever they
between them and Led Zeppelin. Yeah. But it's like funny because, I think that we cover all the three most important bands for all my generations, of loving music, and that is the Beatles in the '60s, Zeppelin in the '70s, and the Police in the '80s. Yeah. And I think there's always some of that, all three of those bands in whatever we do.
You guys did something with the Police last month, didn't you?
We got to open up for them.
How was that?
Fucking awesome. Yeah. Unbelievable.
But how was it? Because it's different to play for the Police than to buy a ticket and go see them.
We went on stage, Sting comes over to our little dressing room area, and I go, you don't know how much this means to me. This is a dream, not just to play with you guys, but to see you, and I'm so glad. Yeah, I can't tell you how happy I am that you guys are back together and you're doing this. And he goes, I know.
Really? That was the only thing he said, no.
Really?
Yeah. Really? And they didn't get along?
Yeah. No. Well, he must know that we're huge Police fans.
Yeah.
I mean, who the fuck isn't, really, you know? Actually, it seemed like there was a lot of people who didn't like Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
heard Paul Weller just... Did you hear about that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
He was doing... Paul Weller, the dude from the Jam, was somewhere in London, like at some rock exhibition, maybe it was photos or something. I don't know what it was. Some rock and roll sort of gathering thing. And there was a picture of Sting as he was walking by, and the press was all there. And he fucking hawked a loogie right on the picture. Just...
How old is that guy? Like 50?
Yeah. Some guys never give up being. Yeah, well, you never know.
I think a lot of those
Seriously,
punk
man.
rock guys didn't like the Police. A lot of the early...
Because they came out of the same area, but
Yeah, but
they
were
got something else.
pretend punk, you know, and they always admitted to it. I mean, they all came from like prog rock '70s bands, and Andy Summers was like playing with like, you know, bands like with Hendrix and stuff like that. You know, like silly kind of, you know, psychedelic rock bands. And
He still did until like the last year.
Yeah, and
like jazzy.
Yeah, and he always had his sort of jazz rocky thing, and Sting was total jazzer, and Stewart played in some band called Curved Air, which is just the most flutes and boots.
Curved Air.
The most flutes and boots band you could ever imagine. I mean, they're like Gentle Giant times 10. Yeah. And then they saw this punk rock thing happen, but got infected by it, and it was Stewart who did it. Yeah. And he made Sting play punk rock. Just, you know.
Yeah.
And he did, and they successfully did. Yeah.
But Sting always had the anger in him. Yeah. You could see it back then, especially. They were so aggressive, and I guess that aggression just came from all three of them.
Took just a few years to get them out of each other. Yeah. You didn't play that much the last half year because of the fact that you guys were recording an album, I suppose. But you did play a few times. Was it also one of the reasons to be really that enthusiastic? Because if you have been playing for half a year, I can imagine that the Wembley Arena is just another thing. But is it?
No, I mean that was, you know. I'm sorry, I'm just a big mouth over here.
Shut it up, man.
The funny thing is we've done about 4 or 5 little shows leading up to that, you know. We played one time in LA at this little shitty club. We played another time in London at another shitty little club. We played with the Police, and I think those were the 3 that we've done so far leading up to this. Is there another one? Mm-mm. No, that's it. So, and luckily, I think that and this was our 4th show so far for this record, even though we didn't really play anything new at Wembley, but just getting our act together again. And luckily, that was, I think, the best that we've played so far. I think.
It has been a few years that I've seen a band so enthusiastic on a podium, and not in a way that you can see that it's something of a pretended way of being enthusiastic. But
no, we were just scared.
But you guys were used to playing in London. You played large shows, weren't you?
Scared shitless.
You can't get used to something like that.
Yeah, we were scared shitless. I mean, before we walked on stage, my mouth was so dry. You know, when you get scared, your mouth dries. And all my life, I was like, oh, like the song ended, I just grabbed the water. I didn't even have time because we went right into My Hero. So I think it was halfway through My Hero when Dave broke it down. I was like, I had to like untape my lips together because my mouth was so dry. I was so scared.
But what's gonna scare you?
You're supposed to say that. You're supposed to act like, oh yes,
nothing for us. Yeah.
We owned
nothing.
But what's gonna? I mean, how long did it take you guys in the studio this time? A few months, or was it?
Seemed to go really quick, actually. Dave will want to do some demos, so I'll just be his little like drum machine, so he can sit there and like work out things and sit there and go, no, play this, no, don't play that, don't play this, play that. Okay, let's do a demo real quick, you know. And and then and then we did demos again or something. We did a couple weeks of just like going through songs and stuff. It was a very organized process actually, which was.
But if you guys do demos, that really means that you guys can also put in some of your ways of playing and writing skills.
Yeah, I mean, they're his songs, but I was saying earlier that this is Nate's album. The bass is unbelievable on this record, and Nate did get a lot more leeway on this record. And a lot of the reason this record went so smoothly is because we had a guy named Gil Norton producing, and he actually really did produce this record with us. I mean, it's...
In what way?
Dave's definitely the overseer of everything. He just, he definitely took charge. Where, as before, they've always been kind of co-produced, like with Nick Raskulinix, who's a dear friend, but such a dear friend that it's...
Yeah, it's not... it's tending to not be professional.
Yeah. He always did a great job, and he did get Dave to do things that Dave wouldn't normally do, and all of us, and a great cheerleader in the studio as well. But we just needed to do something different. We needed to do something different, or else we would have made another One by One or another.
Yeah, because that's something that's always dangerous to bands that are playing together for over 10 years. Because you never know what.
Change the producers and stuff. You got
or the band or the producer. It's either one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who knows who our next record will be with? Could be with Gil. I'd like to do it with Eno. I'd like to make a really weird record. I think Coldplay's got him right now. Yeah. I don't think he'd want to make a record with us, anyways.
You never know.
I don't know. I don't think we're fucking trippy enough.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be willing to get into the weird deeply enough.
Do you guys want to? Because you develop, but you don't develop in that way, and not in. I mean, it will still be an album with great songs. Because that's the basics of Foo Fighters, isn't it?
I mean, if there's no fucking song, and you can throw all the weird sounds you want on things, and it sucks still. And if it's a really good song with stupid, weird sounds on it, then hopefully people will see through it.
What's the first video for the album? Do you know that already?
The first single or the first video? And the first single will be The Pretender. And as far as the first video, I just, I happened to be downstairs in the hotel in London, and Dave was meeting, and I sat down and talked with him as well, a couple guys that are possibly going to do our next video, but I don't know for sure yet. If it's these guys, they've always made great videos, so hopefully that will work out.
Yeah, you guys are also known for the great videos, so you almost gotta do like a funny, great story video, story-based video.
It's become less of a thing for us in a way, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did the Best of You video, which was okay, and then we did a video for DOA, which was a good video. And we kind of did one for Resolve, but that single never really came out. I'm thinking about our last record. I'm thinking about how videos have been kind of less of a.
How did we do that? We did this. It was a pretty cool video too.
I just don't think the song.
It was at least very expensive, and then the song never came out.
Yeah, the song. I think everybody. Yeah, it was just. I think that our music's gotten darker in a way. A lot of it has, and maybe a little more serious. I don't mean to sound pretentious, and that's not by any of my doing. It's by Dave's songs. And really, so we used to kind of make these like really kind of lighthearted, fun videos, where we dress up in drag and, do silly stuff. And I don't think that's going to work for The Pretender.
No. Yeah,
because it's the first song on the album. It's a pretty heavy song, also.
Yeah, it's pretty hard and heavy and dark, So, it'll probably be very live type video,
It's less important to combine single releases with video. I mean, it's all to promote almost more the live performances and live shows than the album.
Yeah,
so it's getting different for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think video for rock music, in a way, has gotten a little less important, hasn't it? Or maybe it has. Maybe,
I don't know anything about it, because I don't watch them and they don't play them anymore, so I don't even know.
I mean, MTV isn't music television anymore.
Yeah, MTV is not really music television anymore. It's like reality shows and stuff, especially in America. So, I mean, there's other channels. There's Fuse, over in America, and then up in Canada, Much Music, and I'm sure they have those sort of things here. And I think on the internet, kids watch a lot of videos now, you know, and you know, YouTube and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, YouTube. I mean, this will be on YouTube tomorrow, you know.